get your parents off of Medicare Advantage because it will cause a crisis. My mother-in-law, she has Alzheimer's, dementia, on top of her other medical issues, and it requires a significant amount of care. At the hospital, they diagnosed her with very severe congestive heart failure and a blood clot, and resulted in an infection. And so she was in very dire circumstances for a number of days. From the hospital, she was sent to physical rehab. During that stay in physical rehab, they argued she had reached the limit of what physical care she needed, but she still had not resumed bladder function. And it was our position that she needed to be in physical rehab until she was safe to go home. And she was not safe to go home. My wife and her father, my father-in-law, and her sisters, they decided they really didn't have a choice but to keep my mother-in-law in the rehab facility, and that they were going to stay in the hopes that they would be able to win on appeal and get the insurance company to cover it. There was 3 steps to the process. There's 2 rounds of essentially remote appeals. Both of those appeals were denied. And so then if you choose to appeal those 2 denials, then it goes to what's called an administrative law judge who here's the case. So my wife, she and her sister read through upwards of 700 pages of medical records to identify pieces that they needed to make the argument. She'd spent a lot of time consulting with the Center for Medicare Advocacy, who pointed out to her legal code that supported their case. And then the next day there was a hearing. She made her argument and the insurance company lawyer made their argument. Then we had a second hearing before a different administrative law judge on the second appeal. At that second hearing, before my wife could even begin her argument, the insurance company lawyer said, we're agreeing to cover the rehab stay in question. We changed our mind. She did need rehab and skilled nursing care, so we're going to pay for it. It was a while. I think maybe a month or 2 later, we were notified that we had won our first appeal as well. When that second appeal was resolved, there was certainly some satisfaction, but also, I think more profoundly, we felt really angry that, why didn't they just cover it in the first place? Clearly, they should have been covering it, and they just thought that we wouldn't pursue an appeal, and they didn't want to pay for it. And thus, we had to go through a bureaucratic nightmare on top of what was already an extraordinary physical and emotional nightmare for our family. The health insurance industry, their business model is predicated on denying care and assuming that people won't challenge them. Medicare is basically the one bright spot we have in terms of healthcare in this country, and we should be doing everything we can to strengthen that. People should not have to choose between being healthy or being broke. And one would hope that it's a priority of our president to get as many people healthy as possible.